Hi, this is the presenter from the channel, and we're in the middle of nowhere in northern Kenya. This is really the middle of nowhere. There are no roads, there are no cars. The nearest hospital is over 200 miles away. And yet this place is special. It's actually quite sacred because this is where humanity found its beginning. I mean, we don't know for sure where exactly that happened, but somewhere nearby, maybe even here, our ancestors started their journey. And it's amazing to think about that when you're standing in the middle of the desert and all around you is rock and sand. It doesn't look like much, but if these rocks could talk, they would have an epic story to tell. Because inside them lie the fossils of some of the earliest humans ever, and they hold clues to the extraordinary journey of humankind. It's me. And this is our story. We can date the origins of life back to 3.7 billion years ago when the Earth was just a baby planet and the Sun was still getting its act together. Conditions were pretty rough. The planet was bombarded by asteroids and the atmosphere had very little oxygen, but something miraculous happened. Life began. For billions of years, life took the form of microscopic bacteria and algae. Then something incredible happened. Almost overnight, life exploded into a riot of colors and forms. Animals of all shapes and sizes suddenly appeared in the oceans and on land. They were part of what we call the Cambrian explosion. We still don't know why this happened or how it happened. Some scientists think it might have been triggered by a genetic accident. Others that environmental changes played a role. But one thing is for sure, this explosion of biodiversity changed life forever. It led to the evolution of the first vertebrates, animals with backbones. Within a few million years, these evolved into fish. Fish were the first vertebrates to dominate the oceans, and for hundreds of millions of years they ruled the seas. But meanwhile, something else was happening on land. Animals began to crawl up onto the dry land. At first, they weren't very good at it. Their skin dried out easily. They couldn't move very far. But eventually, animals like amphibians and reptiles adapted to life on land. Reptiles were the first vertebrates to fully adapt to life on land. And the first of these were the ancestors of today's turtles, crocodiles, and lizards. They lived during the age of dinosaurs. And you probably know all about dinosaurs. They dominated Earth for over 160 million years. They came in all shapes and sizes. The biggest ever was the Argentinosaurus. It reached lengths of over 100 feet and weighed more than 77 tons. Can you imagine? Dinosaurs roamed the Earth until 66 million years ago, when an asteroid struck the planet. This caused massive climate change, leading to the extinction of the dinosaurs and most of the world's plant and animal life. The impact also created the Chicxulub crater. This is located beneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and it's about 110 miles across and 180 meters deep. You can actually visit it by diving. That said, you'll need to bring a lot of cash. It costs $250,000 per person to dive down there. But while the asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs, it also gave rise to a new group of animals, mammals. Up until then, mammals had been relatively small, mostly nocturnal creatures. But after the asteroid wiped out so many species, they began to diversify and grow in size. One mammal that quickly made an appearance was the ancestor of modern whales. Scientists think these ancestors were small proto-whales, no bigger than dogs. Over millions of years, they grew and eventually returned to the oceans. There, thanks to the absence of competition from marine reptiles, they thrived. Other mammals began to fill the ecological roles left vacant by the dinosaurs, including primates. These were the ancestors of apes and monkeys. As far as we can tell, they probably looked and behaved much like today's lemurs. But eventually, one lineage of primates split off and headed to Africa. Here, over millions of years, they gradually became smarter, developing larger brains and more complex social structures. But it wasn't until about 4 million years ago that the first human ancestor appeared, Australopithecus afarensis. You may have heard of Lucy, the famous skeleton of this species. Lucy died about 3.2 million years ago, but she's helped scientists learn a lot about early humans. She showed us how humans and apes diverged. She also revealed that our ancestors were walking on 2 legs instead of 4. and that they were much smaller than today's humans. Our ancestors continued to evolve, becoming taller and smarter. In Africa, a new genus of early humans emerged, the genus Homo. The first member of this genus was Homo habilis. Homo habilis lived between 2.8 and 1.6 million years ago, and they were known for making simple stone tools. They were also the first hominids to start working together in groups. That said, they were still pretty ape-like. They had ape-like brains, ape-like bodies, and ape-like faces. It was Homo erectus that truly marked the turning point in human evolution. Homo erectus had a much bigger brain than modern humans do, and it was the first hominid to leave Africa. Homo erectus spread through Asia and Europe, and they lived there for almost 2 million years. It was also Homo erectus who learned to control fire, which allowed them to cook food, ward off predators, and extend their territory. Eventually, though, they disappeared. We don't know exactly why, but it may have had something to do with climate change. Then came the Neanderthals. They were stocky, muscular people with short, strong limbs and long, sloping foreheads. They were perfectly adapted to life in Europe's icy climate. The Neanderthals were also the first people to bury their dead, which suggests they had a complex culture and perhaps even religious beliefs. But despite their toughness and intelligence, the Neanderthals eventually died out too. This was around 40,000 years ago. Many scientists think that modern humans simply replaced the Neanderthals, but recent studies suggest that Neanderthals interbred with humans, leaving modern humans with 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. So in a way, you can think of yourself as part Neanderthal. But you and I are not so different from our ancient ancestors, are we? Well, actually we are, because it was around this time that another dramatic event took place. Something remarkable happened in our brains. It sparked our imagination. It gave us the ability to plan ahead, to dream, to believe in things we couldn't see. This was the cognitive revolution. It's hard to explain how this happened or what caused it. Some researchers think it might have been linked to the development of language. Others think it was a result of social pressure. Maybe it was both. But whatever the reason, it changed everything. It led to the explosion of art, technology, and innovation. It gave rise to music, poetry, painting, religion, philosophy, agriculture, cities, money, and war. It gave humankind the power to transform the world and ourselves. But all of this happened in just a flash. In evolutionary terms, we've only been around for about 200,000 years. That's just 0.002% of the entire history of life on Earth. The amazing thing is that in such a short amount of time, we managed to reach every corner of the planet. We sailed across the seas to remote islands. We braved dangerous deserts and dense jungles. We flew into the skies and even set foot on the moon. We've discovered incredible technologies and created beautiful works of art. We invented powerful engines and magnificent cathedrals. We developed deadly weapons and life-saving medicines. But above all, we created societies. We built communities and shared knowledge and ideas. And in doing so, we changed the world. Today, there are over 7 billion of us on the planet. We speak 6,500 languages and live in almost every environment on Earth. We come from many cultures and backgrounds. We have different religions and beliefs, but above all, we're all storytellers. We tell stories around campfires and around dinner tables. We tell stories through music and dance. We tell stories through art and architecture. We tell stories through books and films. And now we tell stories on the internet. And each story adds to the great narrative of humankind. The story of how we went from a tiny group of primates in Africa to the dominant species on the planet. It's an epic journey filled with triumphs and tragedies, adventures and discoveries. It's a story worth telling. It's our story. This is our channel. Millions of years ago, life began as a spark in the oceans. From dinosaurs to mammals and then humankind, our journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. From the first fire to art and imagination, we've shaped the world in ways no other species ever has. And it's all thanks to the incredible story that connects us all. A story that began in Africa and has taken us to the stars. A story that's filled us with wonder, curiosity, and a thirst for adventure. a story that's ours to tell, so join us and become part of the story. Watch as we explore the mysteries of the past and uncover the secrets of our existence. Be inspired by the incredible tales of our ancestors and the amazing feats they accomplished. Let their stories ignite your imagination and fuel your dreams. And as we journey through time together, remember that you too are part of this incredible story. Your support keeps the story alive, so subscribe and never miss an episode.